Welcome, everybody, to our True Self Talk here right after our Connect with Your True Self transmission. My name is Jona Bryndis, and I want to say a big hello and welcome to this wonderful session. We've had 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 co-facilitators who will be in the panel here with me reporting about how the session went, how it felt from our perspective, and also to, just encourage the discussion here. We really want you to see this place also as a place for sharing. This was a very large group, very big session, and that's actually perfect. A session like this at a time like this is quite cool, really, because we have been bombarded with a lot of different things here in these last weeks, days, today, and so forth. And it can feel quite relieving to have a reason to take an hour of our time and really connect within. And we're not just doing this like a meditation, although those of you who are new to this might feel like it is like a meditation. You're on your own. But the difference is that we are actually connecting your energy. We're holding the group field here, which is always cool when it's a big group. And we're reading out your energies. During the session, we're reading out the process that is there. And there's a lot of info that comes in from my perspective here, especially for this session. A lot of info, unexpected info. Okay, so I have cool things to share with you guys. And if you're listening to the recording, because you couldn't make it to the webinar or you fell asleep during the session, which is quite normal if you're not used to energy work. And some of you might have been confused with the webinar starting an hour later. I have been doing remote energy transmissions for over 10 years now without any contact in the session, because this is a really a pure energetic energetic work. Okay, and I usually write session reports afterwards and answer people's inquiries in the forum. But since the beginning of the year, I've started doing this live webinar as basically a live session report and the opportunity for you to ask direct questions or to comment. I'm going to start with giving a brief overview, and all the co-facilitators, those are trained energy workers that have facilitated the session with me. Okay, I want you guys to say hello real quick. You can see this when the other is speaking. Would you guys like to introduce yourself to the audience real quick?
Hi everyone, it's Gosha.
Hi Gosha. Just one sentence, where you're from, and how was the session for you?
I'm currently in Chicago, Schaumburg, actually, Illinois, with a group of my friends. And we just did the session in a group, and we are joining in the webinar.
Oh, so cool. So you actually had friends with you while you were co-facilitating the session with me and the others. Awesome, Gosha. Thank you.
Yes, hi, Sheila is here. And I'm from in the Midwest of the United States, around St. Louis, close to St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, Sheila, thank you.
This is Cheryl, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I live in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Just keep
and
going.
This is Amanda, and I live in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay. So
this is Becky, and I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Hi guys. So thank you so much here for working the session with me and all these people and holding the field. It was quite an interesting session, wasn't it? Right? Different. We are used to doing sessions together. It's also part of the training here as energy healer. But even though there was a whole lot of stuff that was going on in this session, um, it was not like a very wordy session, at least not for me. How did this feel for you guys? Sitting in the session here in the Skype thread that we have, parallel to the session going on, we communicate with another. How did this feel for you guys?
The tonight's session felt really smooth. There was for me, I felt a strong feminine influence, so it was just like every once in a while when one of these comes up, it's just a strong message if there's nothing to do, that just hold space, sit back, and everything will unwind as itself. I kept getting a Bob Marley song come in that said every little thing is going to be all right. That just kept for the whole session, and a lot of clearings. Some of the session or some of the signs of clearing that I get as a co-facilitator is a lot of gas, or my nose will start to run, or my eyes will start to water, and that happened a lot, and that's a good sign. So it means we're releasing, and then my body will get really hot, like we call it heat. It feels like it's burning stuff off is the easiest way to say. So it just felt like a real session where you don't have to do anything. Everything is just taken care, and you just sit back and observe. It's really
Well,
smooth. So
you just mentioned quite a few things here, like passing gas and burping, and like it's like nothing. It's like baking bread. Of course, those are all really good signs from our perspective, because it means that things are being released. It means that there is a clearing taking place, and we look very clearly at what energy centers those clearings are taking place, what they mean. And I've prepared a few charts here for you so we can go through this for you, because this was a very complex session in that way. But I agree with you, Cheryl, it was very gentle, actually. For the amount of stuff that got cleared here in this session, it was very gentle, very soft, feminine, as you said. It didn't feel like that are like slash our way through things. It was more like it just sort of literally burns through the energy, burns through our system here, and released um, all these different things, such as blocks and attachments and fears and so forth, out of the different energy centers. So this is a very typical thing for a true self session. That's why Cheryl made it sound like, oh yeah, nothing. It's of course quite a bit when this when this is your first energy session. And you might not even correlate these things. You might not even bring this together. But for us as energy workers, those are very important, very significant things that happen there. So we work our way from these physical release symptoms into the energetic and etheric and astral aspects of that, which we'll talk about later. But thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Any more comments, Amanda?
Yeah, for me right away, I could see the observance and the space of the externalizations coming up. It came up in many forms, but due to this soft flow, feminine nature, as all of these externalizations were presenting themselves, it was like they were immediately kind of like reabsorbed into the wholeness of each individual. So it was almost like the idea that these externalizations really are a part of myself, and I can reclaim them back. So
Can
it
you
was a
explain?
nice, it
Can
was
you
a
explain what
nice,
you mean with externalizations?
it means when you have given away your power, to something outside of you, or something that you feel that you need to feel a certain way, or something that is external to yourself that can make you feel a certain way. All of these things that pull you from one space to the other, or can suck up your mental energy or your emotional energy. So
So say things that you think you need, right?
yes,
In order
right,
to whatever the in order
right,
to is, like to resolve an issue or to feel safe or
right,
to feel more in power.
right. But it was, the process was different than other true self sessions that we've had, whereas it was almost immediately as they came up, they were kind of released and taken back into a sense of wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
It
That's
was
a
really
nice,
cool. It was a really cool
nice way to
process.
describe it. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt too. That the pictures that I'm showing here in the background, they have a significance to this. Yeah. Thank you. That's really cool, Amanda. Those of you who are here listening live, would you like to share with us how you perceive this? Is anyone here who would like to either comment? You can write a text here in the chat that we can see. You can speak directly into the phone or into the microphone if you like. Does anybody want to share what this session felt like from your end? You can also inquire about your personal energy. This is the perk here when you come live. We can give you a direct reflection of what went through your system and maybe what came in as guidance for you here to deal with current energies. Go ahead, Janet. Since I have you here, what did the session
Oh,
feel like for
okay.
you?
Uh, I'm just saying I'm here because I clicked in a little late and all of the stuff on the computer was a little bit difficult, but I made it. It's like a miraculous day today. So it was a very visual. Everybody says it's very different, and I'm in a bit of a confusion right now, but burning hot. I can't tell
Mm-hmm.
if I can't tell these last 3 days if I'm sick or healing.
Okay, well, even in a physiological sense, right? When we go through fever, or any
Yeah.
kind of physical heat, it's a healing process. Okay, our body does that in order to, basically get the juices flowing, get everything to move and to burn. Things such as viruses. We can talk about that. That's why we have
Hmm.
fever. Fever is a positive thing. It's something that our body does in order to increase the immune system. All right, to fight something off, to ward something off, or to release it.
Yeah, this one just was entirely different from anything. Everybody is saying their perspective. I kind of felt like it was I had to rock up for my own healing and
Mm-hmm.
for that of others. This one, and I guess it's been very visual 2 days before now,
Mm-hmm.
even.
Yeah, this is we've had a really powerful full moon here, and there's always the 2 days before and the 2 days after that. That's the overall influence, and this full moon particularly was very visual. It was very strong. Third eye input, lots of downloads, as we call this in energetic lingo. There's a lot of info coming in, and this we could feel the remnants of that here in this session as well. It was very visual for me as well, and lots of info was coming in. And the unique thing about this session here, and I'll get into the meaning here in a little bit, was that we've, whatever you think about this kind of way of expressing things, but we've literally received source code. We've literally received divine Wi-Fi info. Okay, this was direct connection. So whether it made us feel comfortable or uncomfortable during the session is not a benchmark for whether you're healing or not. Okay, every single second you are aware and awake, and you recognize that there is something like a true self, something like an eternal part in you that is there, and you call it and it answers you back, all right, is healing. This is an increase in your vibratory rate, not just yours, Janet, for everybody. So the question whether or not we are healing, and what is healing from an energetic point of view, healing is every single time our energy gets raised in vibration relative to what it was before. And so when that happens, oftentimes depending on where it was before, for example, right now people are dealing with a lot of fear and a lot of confusion. Okay, then this raise in vibration can first lead to anger, for instance, to feel something like an upsetness about this powerlessness, and this wants then to come to an expression, which from an energetic point of view is healing. All right, because this is what needs to be done in order to maintain a higher vibratory rate. In your particular case, Janet, okay, this is just for you, the info right now. Okay, in this session there's two main processes going on, and one has to do with what you said, stepping up for your own healing. And the way you can step up to your own healing is to surrender all the parts that you're attached to, which what we call ego, is in the way of this, sort of allowing source or divine, or this whatever we call this higher intelligence, this whatever brought us here, okay, this creation energy, to supply us with the needed energy to do this. So it is not a matter of acquiring something, it is a matter of letting something go. And that was very visible for you. Okay, so it's just letting go and handing your problems over to your higher power in an awake way, not in the way of just sort of dodging it all and, oh, it's going to be fine, sort of from a point of innocence or naivete, but from a point of knowing exactly what it is that needs to be let go of, and to admit to yourself that it's hard to let that go. And you're calling in your higher power, you're calling in your true self's power to supply you, to give you the info of what needs to be let go of. The second part, and this is linked with another, has to do with inner darkness, has to do with you facing some of these shadow aspects of maybe not stepping up for yourself and externalizing the reasons for some of your well, I mean, when we have trauma, then there's obviously people involved, and this has to do with them, but it is not enough. It's not very sophisticated to just say, oh, because of this or that person, or because of the president or the government or whatever, my life is a misery. Okay, so stepping up for our own healing really means to wake up to the awareness that it's a choice. Okay, and we can then, once our energy is high enough, all right, that we have the courage to actually be self-responsible, begin to work with the info that is coming in, that informs us about what it is that we need to step up to, that we need to work with, that we maybe need to admit to ourselves, that we maybe need to correct, where we have to go into some kind of active self-healing process. All right, so this is very, very clear. And you are very visual, Janet. Okay, so for you, this source code, this info that I've mentioned, you know, is it comes in ways that is maybe, you know, at this very moment not recognizable for you because your energy isn't high enough, okay, to you get it. I don't want to say the word to get it
That's
because I know you
I
get it.
this is I've just been going through a whole remembering of
Mm-hmm.
all this. It's been a whole remembering, and I do lack the words to explain it. And um, yeah, yeah, I lack
Mm-hmm.
the words to explain it. It
And it's
was
tough. This one
yeah,
is tough to use words for because
yeah,
the
because
info
to
is too
me it's
complex
not
for
what
us.
it's like. Oh hi, how did it? Yeah, okay, I get it, and okay, let's move on to the next thing. not
No,
not
so
not.
on that
I'm
true
like,
self,
okay, what am I supposed to heal next? Let's keep going.
right? So the big message here is letting go, okay, of
Yeah, yeah.
externalizations. The visuals
You know
are
what the
all.
other thing was too,
Mhm.
that maybe is true for other people is I find the biggest block has been to this point denial of information coming
Yes.
in,
Mm-hmm.
like going, I don't want to hear it. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just finally going,
Exactly.
okay, fine. And
That's
then
the rocking up.
being,
So here you have it. This is the info exactly that was coming in for you. You know, the rocking up, you know, the stepping up for your own healing. Okay. And what I earlier called innocence or naivete is a form of dodging, is a form of avoiding, a form of hiding from it. You know, I don't want that info, you know, and you know what the shadow part that's underneath that, why I don't want that info, because it means that I have to, you know, maybe do something, or that I have to, you know, be responsible for something. That's the part that needs to be let go of. So the fear of darkness, okay, is linked with this, because there's a fear in you that dark energies come in, and really, and this is for everybody here. This is just specifically for you, Janet, in this session. The fear of darkness is one of you know, the thing that uh, is the most confusing things for people, because what they're not realizing is that it's their own darkness that they are confronted with. Okay, so the dodging the darkness and externalizing it does not lead to healing. Okay, this doesn't mean that we have to fight darkness. It means that we have to step up and see what our parts are in this. And darkness, guys, is nothing but the absence of light. Okay, so, you know, dodging, hiding, avoiding, not wanting to take responsibility, those are things that are dark. Okay, it's just not in the way they show it in the movies, or how it's being portrayed here in this new agey, you know, sort of a kind of spirituality. So when it really comes down to the energy codes that are there, it's the absence of light, okay, the absence of, or the you know, the attachment to like others is other people's fault, blaming and so forth, is a darkness. Okay. But overall, Janet, this is a really good process. This is, from my perspective, very, very healing for you. And I know that I can see this, how this has been progressing here over the last couple of weeks or days. I can see that
I
this is
yeah, I can't.
popping
I don't
open.
even have
Hmm.
words for it, Yona. I'm very well. It just feels like things have come together the way they're supposed
Yes.
to.
Yes, that's why I didn't want to say you're not getting it yet. I didn't want to say like your energy is not high enough to not to get it, because your energy is high enough to get it. But you got to let go the part that doesn't want to see it. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's already there. That's why how you described it, remembrance, is probably the best way
Mm,
to really uh, show this, because it's you allow yourself to remember, you know, that
yeah.
part. It's all there. It's all there for you, Janet. Okay. Thank you so much for
Yay.
breaking the ice here, and for bearing all this open, because this is, of course, very intimate stuff that we see here and that we talk about here. And I want you guys all to feel safe. So please don't see anything as a judgment here. This is about true self, okay? This is about connecting with who we truly are. And most of our pain, most of our suffering in life is about either not knowing who we truly are, or white knuckled trying to be something else, and therefore missing, our connection with our true power. Okay, so in acknowledging and taking on who we truly are, we are also receiving true power. Okay, it's I sometimes call this medicine. Okay, so this is the big secret about the true self that is not a secret. It's accessible to everybody, but we got to be willing to look at it. Okay, yeah. So Cheryl is commenting here. You were wondering what we saw in your energy. You too felt the feminine energy throughout the session. Some coughing and opening of throat energy center. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the energy centers here in a little bit. Cheryl, what did I see for you here mostly? Let me look at my protocol. There were so many people. Yeah, so for you, it's this is interesting that you felt this in your throat. We actually felt the session energies burning through all energy centers, but in your particular case, it is about speaking truth. It is about congruence. Okay, the congruency of how you express your truth. This is what your true self wants you to know. Okay, so the clearing in the throat, all right, has a lot to do with letting go of, maybe if you, even if you mean well, okay, if you, if you pretend, it can also be linked to gossiping, but I didn't actually see this. I saw more the incongruence here that lowers your vibratory rate, that lowers your connect or impedes your connection with your true self. Okay, and this can be linked to boundaries, but it's really about being absolutely clear in how you express yourself. You've worked with your true self a lot, Chair, and it's not that you don't know. It is, the courage to actually adjust your expression accordingly, to really be true to yourself and your own integrity. And for you too, there was a notion here of guilt and blame. All right, these are things that can block that. So when we externalize our suffering, or things in our life, say failures, or however we want to see them, learning experiences that are uncomfortable on some level, for as long as we externalize a meaning, making others, or like something outside of us responsible for this, we are not in congruence with our true self. So this is the big subject for you, to unlock your power and to really step into the truth. So it will make a huge difference in your life, because most of the things that you have been experiencing in conjunction with others that led to trauma and suffering had to do with a lack of proper boundaries, and boundaries have to do with our integrity and speaking truth, and the congruence that is needed for that. Did you want to add anything to this, or ask a question, or any of the co-facilitators maybe add anything to this? Okay, you understand, and you can see that. Okay, so yeah, so obviously we have a collective setting here right now, and in conjunction with that, it'd be really important for you to feel that you can stand in your power, that you really watch what you say. This is very literal about what you say. So the clearing symptoms that you experienced in your throat have to do with that. Okay. one tip from me as an energy coach here is to go into this sort of daily inventory. So, you know, but we have to be careful because there's a fine line between turning every stone and being hyper vigilant with ourselves and constantly criticizing ourselves and basically sort of falling for the critical in our voice and honestly reflecting on things. All right. And making a daily inventory or writing a journal or something in regards to specifically how congruently, and congruent means how well this matches up between what you truly feel and what you express, that you just really look at it from that perspective, and that you make this almost like a quest, you know, like a mission, okay, to go into a higher degree of you know, your true feelings matching up with what you say. Okay, cool, you can see this. So, okay, Megan was asking to get a reflection um on her energies. Okay, so
She stepped out for 1 second.
okay, all right, then I talk about something else here real quick. I mentioned something important, and that was hang on a sec. And that was about the source code. So this was the part here that was really interesting for me. This was really cool about the session. So the session overall went smoothly. It started out actually very cool. I have barely ever seen so many people being in such a centered state. It felt very awake and very alive. And this is also the theme of the session. I called this true self session waking up. This was definitely overall, as the overall energy process here, a wake up call. And the wake up call is not just like an alarm. I mean, for some of us, it may have felt like a bit like an alarm clock going on with, you know, the accompanying stress symptoms and so forth. But I want you guys to really understand that this is way deeper. Everything that is going on here right now goes a lot deeper. Those of you who have who watch the energy tips and the truth talks, you've gotten a whiff of this already. I talked about these soul codes popping open, and I didn't even expect this here for the true self session, but it came in so clear, and I saw these grapes in a way. I mean, there was a lot of purples also in this session, and I picked this picture because it also has these warm colors, the softness of it, but at the same time also orange is typically stands for fear. And also there we have a sort of a circumstances that are a bit scary, that are obviously a bit stressful for us, but then we have these like super ripe, full of information, full of sweetness, full of light. Okay, so grapes are, they capture the sunlight of the summer, and they are being harvested at the end of the summer, and they're so full of this converted, transcoded sunlight energy into sweetness, into abundance. All right, and these codes, they were like popping open for you guys with direct, you know, info coming in through the divine Wi-Fi, so that there's a lot of really, really cool info in this session for each and every one of you. And I don't say this lightly, guys. If you've come to energy to true self sessions before, I've been doing them for, I don't know, 8 years or so every month. And I'm often, you know, like showing people like where, uh, you know, what's not going so well, or where the blocks are and everything. This was a really, really cool session, and it really activated courage in us. And the way this info came in was that it reminded us, and this is here in these two sharings, we're already getting a little bit of an idea how this could translate for us, because it translates differently for each and every one of us, is to really appreciate the wisdom in in working with the truth, standing in our true self, standing in this truth as wisdom, because there's so much that comes forward here when you directly connect with your own truth, and not reality, truth. Okay, I'm talking about truth, and you know what this can provide for you. Okay, one aspect here we've already learned about this is congruence. So the more congruent we are, the more balanced, the less fragmented our energy body becomes. And the less fragmented we are, the more balanced we become. The less stress we have, and the less stress we have, the higher our immune system, and also our healing capacity, and our radiance, our abundance goes. All right. So there's that. Then there's the aspect of, you know, letting go mostly of our judgments, and of our rigidities, and of the things that keep us in our comfort zone, where we don't want to adjust. We don't want to see it, we don't want to look at it, we are afraid of the darkness, you know, all these kind of aspects that then inhibit or block our connection with this like really rich pool of information that's coming from within ourselves. Then for some, it was about finding security. I think, Amanda, you've mentioned this, in wholeness within, really recognizing that this is within ourselves, and that you know, even if we cannot always feel this, because let's say we're so distracted or anxious or judgmental or critical or in denial, or you know, preoccupied. Okay, it's always there, you know. And to answer this call to and from your true self, right, is something that will always get answered. It will always get answered. You just, you know, maybe have to let go of, you know, these preoccupations, like expectations, how it comes forward, or how this info comes to you. It's in your heart, and your heart speaks soul. You know, that's the only part of you that can understand this language of your soul. All right, and the true self kind of transforms this into a language that you can understand. Yeah, and this is the part here, when we send out this call, or when we follow this call, there's so much. It's almost like a homecoming. There's so much of a remembrance, so much of a connection there all of the sudden. And it's, again, here, not something that you could easily describe with words. It's a feeling, all right, that in that state then we experience this oneness feeling. And in that moment, and this is the cool part here, how this is all connected, all these things that we've externalized our power to, or what we thought we needed, or what we were waiting for, or who we think we need to be, they all fall away. And suddenly, I think, Cheryl, you said this earlier, we realize that there's nothing we need. There's a nothingness. It's not passivity. It's not the same. This is a higher vibratory state in which we recognize that this need to control things, and the need to hang on to things, and try to make things, to control things in a way that we can have this you know, ego sense of security, that is what is actually in the way. So it's linked to this letting go that I mentioned earlier. And this brings in freedom. This brings in a lot of flexibility and serenity. So serenity is the ability to discern what we can control and what we can't control, and to not waste our energy with the things that we cannot control. Okay, so that's a not, it's a state of not doing. But our ego is afraid of that because it believes that when we don't do, that we cease to exist. And here's where our true self can reassure us that it is not about the doing, that it is about the being, right? And in these moments, as I said in the beginning, when you answer this call, when you take this time to talk to your true self, to connect with it, to commune with it, in these moments, all right, you can feel some of that. Yes, granted, the first 10-15 minutes of every energy session is often, you know, sort of filled with the release symptoms. And those are all really, really good signs for you, because it's where you know things is being shaken loose, things is happening, tinglings or pulsing or heat or pains too. So I would like to add to the list of release symptoms that Cheryl mentioned in the beginning, head pressure. So I had really strong head pressure throughout the entire session. Anyone had the same? This like really strong, mostly on the right side. It started out in the temples, then it moved over to the the back of my skull. And then my crown. So there was like really strong pressure on my head at first. It got a little better, but overall, it showed me that there was a lot of stuff around our thinkingness and around our openness, like to this divine Wi-Fi that needed to be cleared. Then yes, like the other Cheryl said, around the throat, as well with the jaw and the sinuses. Okay, this is all fifth chakra. This is all your throat chakra. This has to do with expression, with bringing things to into the outside, okay, to release things, and the congruence as well. So there was a lot of stuffness. I call it stuffness because that's how it looked like in the energetic. Things were stuffed into that, and they couldn't really quite come out yet. So this has to do with our current collective energies and the virus scare. Then also very significant here, a strong feeling of grounding, like where I felt subjectively. I mean, you can feel this often. You feel grounding in your feet, or you feel it in your pelvis. I mean, it's like you suddenly feel like you're standing. You having a better stance. Subjectively, this felt like a strength, or like this completeness that we've mentioned. And then at times a really strong pressure in my sternum. This is in the solar plexus region, in the third chakra region, accompanied with lots of burps. I can only encourage those of you who have those kind of energetic sensations to allow them. Okay, so yes, passing gas and burps are very important release symptoms, guys. This is very, very important because they help to expel energies. Okay, so on a physical level, but it then translates into your energy body as well. And then these heat waves that burn through, like Cheryl mentioned, through our system. The only thing that could not get cleared, guys, and this is something I'm actually feeling still right now, being connected with all of you guys, is the backside of my second chakra, my sacral chakra, my lower back. So there's a lot of lower back issues right now. They're linked to obviously the fears that are coming in here through this sort of escalating situation, and the fear mongering, which gives us this fear of not being supported, of not having enough support. And this is exactly where the main theme of the session grips. It is the externalization. Okay, so we feel this lack of support when we have externalized our power. And your true self like literally gave you instructions on how to get past that fear and into the freedom of connecting and communicating and accessing your true self's info, you know, the source code, okay, that will inform you exactly about what you need to let go or what you need to focus on in order to take that power back. All right. And this was, again, as I mentioned earlier, different for different people. Here, so many people that we had pretty much like all different kinds of expressions of that. But one of the main things here, first and seventh chakra, there was a video that I recorded about seventh chakra that I just sent out here to those who are signed up for the newsletter. You know, misconceptions about the second chakra and why you know, certain techniques that people that we like whatever picked up somewhere or intuitively think is the right thing to do. How this is actually pulling darkness in, and how this actually makes us feel less supported and less more fearful. Okay, so that's something that I recommend to watch this video. You don't get this info a lot out there because most people simply don't know. So a lot of people out there talk about energies and really don't know what they're talking about. So I just have to get this out. This for my congruence here, because you see, when you see energies, it looks a little differently than what the public opinion is about energy. So, but here these things are it's ancient wisdom about our energy centers and what they're linked to. So, yes, you can see this here on the left, identifying energetic imbalances. So, you know, the regions. Excuse me. So the regions of your body, they're linked to certain energy centers. They're color coded here. So your legs and your hips, and obviously, you know, your root area is linked to the first chakra, the root chakra, and has to do with belonging and core survival. This is something that is triggered right now big time. It's also linked to M and F. That means masculine and feminine energy and balance in us. And well, for me, obviously, that's why we, you know, felt this soft feminine energy here, because this is what most of us need to balance this out. And when you go into balance, guys, I really want you to understand this. Then you will feel stronger. Okay, so you don't have to fight or go against something. You actually just need to seek the balance and the harmony of things. And this is like literally broken down here, the info from your true self. So first chakra and seventh chakra is the thinkingness and the higher connection. And here again, this is typical time like this. We look for a sort of superhero, you know, like one solves all problems. This is a very normal human behavior to look for bigger solutions from the outside. So this needs to be corrected. It's not wrong, but we're looking in the wrong place. So here it's important that you go and commune with your true self, which can translate that sort of divine consciousness for you, okay, and what you need in order to stand strong, to have courage, and to really connect with your inner wisdom. All right, and obviously there's then all the stuff here in between, but the main processes here for us in this session was first and seventh chakra, the balancing of that, which is responsible for your etheric immune system. And then also this is ongoing. This is a collective task here that we will probably deal with for another couple hundred years. That is the barrier between the third and fourth chakra. It's between the false self and the true self, between false connection and true connection. Yeah. And here on the right, You can see some suggestions. If you can't read this right now, it's no big deal. With the recording here of this True Self Talk, I'm going to send these chakra charts with the exercises that I recommend for you to do. So you'll see here for first chakra, karmic family work. Obviously, this is a little bit of a longer process. Masculine and feminine connection work, okay? Creating a safe space in your home, like something like an altar, something that is the sort of instrumental part of your sacred space, so that it's easier for you to communicate with your true self. Grounding, good food, obviously, hiking, walking, nature, earth. I've mentioned this in the energy tips that I see a lot of you guys walking off your fears. That's a good thing. It's first chakra. Repetition, martial arts, kickboxing, really good for practicing sort of the physical aspects of a stance, but also, just really excellent grunt work and manual labor. Jump rope, like these mini trampolines at home, really good. If you need to work off your fears, guys, get yourself a $20 mini trampoline or a $5 jump rope. One other thing just dawned on me the other day. We had a Heart Warrior episode that we recorded on Monday and talked about, some of the effects of the virus scare and discussed why people buy toilet paper. And it dawned on me yesterday that, this, I don't know if you can follow me here, but it's like, it's a phenomenon, okay, that in the face of something like, admittedly impactful pandemic in the world, that people are hoarding toilet paper. This was a mystery to me until yesterday, to realize that this is a first chakra thing. Okay, toilet paper is a root chakra thing. It makes us feel safe, except for it really doesn't do anything other than, yes, it creates a certain level of comfort, but that would be an illusionary sense of security. So I just want to point this out here. There's also another aspect to this, and this has to do with the fear of darkness that I mentioned here to one of you, because it's too much to explain right now, but there's a fear of looking at our own shit, so to speak, and that's how this is linked, just in case you're interested. So first chakra stuff can come out this way. Interesting, right? Different from what we thought. Yes. Second chakra is obviously linked to the outer conditions right now. So this has to do with support, and the main support that we can feel right now needs to come from within, and through our own inner wholeness, completeness. Okay, and this will trigger or the need to let go of dependencies. So the second chakra is where all our dependencies are. Okay, some emotional processing, our coping, our dopamine and serotonin stuff. Okay, so yeah, this is the addiction area here, guys, and there's a bunch of modalities here and therapies and so forth on the right, how you can counteract this. I just want to really point out the seventh chakra, because this is the part here that in this session I was reminded to convey this information. It's really important that we go into this higher power within, okay, and that we connect and commune with our true self. So this is what this waking up was about, to really wake up to that, not to externalize that, and not to externalize that to some kind of spiritual, entity that you don't know firsthand either. Okay, this is one of our most important responsibilities here as spiritually awoken people, to not externalize anything, that we have not verified for ourselves. Do not take anything I say either without verifying this for yourself. This is the purpose of these true self sessions, that we can experience things for ourselves and that is no longer hearsay, that you have your own internalized subjective experience of your own true self. This is my mission here for you. Okay, we have the time real quick to reflect on Megan's energy. So Megan, for you, it's really about this second chakra, this what I just talked about, support. There's something, you know, that has to do with you not actually well giving yourself enough loving. Okay, so there's an aspect of self-love and self-care that was in the foreground here for me to even get to this place of you know, sort of seeing you connecting with your inner balance. So it's the self-nurturing, really taking this seriously. And there's also a recovery aspect for you, you know, that has to do with addictions. Okay, on the positive side of things, though, the energy that was coming in for you here was really sort of helping you to work with your emotional extremes. Okay, so don't be afraid of big emotions, Megan. Okay, just really connect with your masculine and feminine energies. I think this will is the guidance here that will help you the fastest, you know, to really go in and maybe with the help of Gorsha, who's a phenomenal energy healer, you know, to find out where in your life, you know, you're approaching things from too much of a masculine perspective, which disconnects you from some of your true power, which is, you know, this balance of your masculine and feminine energies. And guys, this is for all of you here. In us women, you know, it's obviously the core power comes through our feminine energies, but it's always in the balance, in the unified masculine and feminine energies within us, that we really step into our power. And then some of these other things that come, you know, where it's hard for you to really love yourself, they dissolve. You know, you learn new ways of self-forgiveness. Okay, and will also recognize that you don't need anybody else to absolve you, that this is a process that you can do with your true self, Megan. Okay, so it's very beautiful, actually. It's just you can't run away from you. You can't be afraid of your feelings, of your emotions. Okay, those you need to look at.
Thank you, Jona.
Yes, Megan, if you want to comment or Gosha in Megan's behalf, that's fine. Give me feedback here. I want to encourage people to ask these questions. We have to come to a close here, but I do want you to know that in the forum thread, so there's in our Empath forum, there is a thread specifically dedicated for this session, and I'm going to post the recording there as well, and you can ask questions over the course of the next couple of days. We have a big intensive come up here on the weekend, so I'm going to be really busy with this. It's the energy awareness intensive, where you can learn to read your own energies and to decode all this. So those of you who are interested in you might want to consider this. It's all remote energy based, except for it's not. It's a guided session, so you'll get an MP3 that guides you through certain energy processes. And while you go through these processes, we read out energy. But anyway, what I meant to say with this is that you know. I'll be busy over the weekend, but I will respond to you guys' requests for those of you who couldn't come or who are kind of caught in this wordlessness that we all have a little bit after these deep sessions. So here comes the last little sort of a gift for all of us, and that is that in the midst of all of this fear that is coming in or going through our collective, that is burning through. Okay, so the message here was let it burn through. It's the good news. Okay, so, and I'm not saying this lightly, guys. This was clearly shown to me how this is for the benefit of our collective. Okay, so Obviously, I've talked about the coronavirus and the implications. We have to focus on connection. It's not about getting sick. So that part of the fear, let that go. All right, because it's not about that. It will activate things in you that were previously inaccessible for you. Okay, so past your fear, okay, is your power, guys. There is truth there and there is freedom there. Okay, so this is like the really, really good news here, conveyed through this collective true self from all of each and every one of you. Okay, that this is literally waking up to your soul quest, and for all of us, and as a collective. Okay, so there's a happy ending on a long enough timeline, obviously. So we're going to have to deal with this coronavirus for a couple of years. That's established already. But, you know, for us, what it does for us, in conjunction with, you know, really being connected and staying awake and communing with our true self, is that it literally wakes us up for what we came here for. Okay, so this is real beautiful news. So don't get wrapped up in things, guys, in the drama of things. You know, our ego never likes change. You know, so we really know that we're growing when we have to move out of our comfort zone. Okay, that's when you know you grow. Okay, so let it happen. Trust your true self. Connect within as much as you can. Wash your hands, obviously, and do all the things that you already know that are good for you, and really let go of the things that are not healthy for you. Okay. For those of you here who are, you know, a bit afraid of isolating or being alone, I have made a decision today that I'm going to put in a remote sacred self-healing circle. So those are going to be on Skype, and basically what we're going to do is once a week meditation using the sacred self-healing steps for this, and just a really brief exchange to give us here as community a feeling of togetherness, of oneness, and safe space and exchange. So you're going to get info from me here in the next couple of days. I have one technical issue that I still need to resolve, but it'll be every week at a certain time, and it's free. So yay. Okay, guys. All co-facilitators, thank you so much for coming, for volunteering for this, for giving so much to all these people here that came from all these different parts of the world, to communicate with their true self and to up their vibratory rate, and also that of all of us here together. Thank you to all co-facilitators, and thank you to all of you who came here to share, but also, you know, who came here to learn and to experience your connection with your true self firsthand. We're going to have the same thing next month again. So stay tuned, sign up for the email list, and go on YouTube, go to the YouTube channel for transCODES, and watch, you know, one of the 300 videos. There's a series of different series, free energy trainings, explainer videos, all kinds of things. So if you should get caught up in quarantine and can't leave your house or can't leave your country or whatever, you know, then spend your time with this high vibratory subject and share this info with other people, guys. That's where you're going to feel support. That's where you're going to feel your strength and your power again. Okay. Have a good time. All right. And hope to see you soon, everybody.
Thank
Love
you,
you.
Jona. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.